Another week and another pretty big week in wrestling, I guess, right?
Yeah, they
uh,
all are.
First off, let's just start off with what everyone's here for, and let's talk about Moose. So Moose, Eddie Edwards was out for revenge, and with Sami Callihan, and who was there with to take the brunt of that? Moose. So uh, he used his smarts to kind of avoid it and stuff, but that's what happened with Moose. There's a little story there going on with all that. So Moose is first on the shit list, and yeah, try to get away.
Was this where Callahan broke like every bone in his leg?
I can't really understand if that's when it happened, but yeah, like he's going to be out for a long time. I don't know if this is when it happens, but I mean, Edwards and Callahan were trading blows with Moose after kind of Moose pounded Eddie Edwards down. So I don't know what happened with Callahan and when that happened, but it seemed like it didn't happen yet. So maybe some kind of taping after this.
Maybe. Yeah.
But let's just jump right in. Let's jump right into Extreme Rules predictions, because
All right.
that's coming on tonight. So if you're listening to this like today, you've got a chance to. Well, actually, we won't waste your time with that. So let's start off maybe at the top down. Roman Reigns versus the Demon. I haven't seen the latest SmackDown. I don't know. You probably haven't, right? You said you haven't watched anything from Friday.
I haven't. Yeah, Hulu didn't put SmackDown up until late last night, so I didn't have a chance to watch it this morning.
But I mean, I think you've got an idea of what's going on here. Like Roman Reigns versus the Demon. I think it's going to be interesting to see the Demon get his first loss.
I don't think the Demon loses. I don't know how they're going to pull this off, but I think the Demon wins. Balor grants a rematch on SmackDown next week, and Balor loses the belt back to Roman so that Roman can still wrestle Lesnar in Saudi Arabia. That's where it is. Yeah. Because they are selling the shit out of Roman Brock Lesnar for Crown Jewel. And I don't necessarily know how Saudi Arabia takes to demons. Probably not well. But I think it's a real waste to have the Demon take a loss at. It would be kind of stupid to bring the Demon back at this point to have him lose, unless there's just utter shenanigans.
Yeah,
which there could be because
yeah.
I mean it's the only match on the Extreme Rules card that is utilizing the Extreme Rules gimmick. So yeah, I mean they could do something that the match may not actually ever end. I mean, shit, the Usos may come out, they may lock the Demon in a casket or something, and Balor's off TV for a month to sell this, and then I don't know how you bring him back, but
nah, he'll just be on SmackDown again on Friday.
just regular Balor, because they're not the same person.
Yeah.
No, I don't know how you do it. I think it'd be a terrible waste to have the Demon come back just to lose, since he has never before. So
yeah, I don't know. I still think I think Roman's going to win with shenanigans, and they're going to try to make the Demon still look good, but I don't think it's going to ultimately succeed. But I think that's what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, well, I don't know with Roman, like, yeah, I think he's done a great job, but like, I like to see Balor win. I think that'd be great, but
yeah,
my heart is different from what my head is telling me. So, Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Is this going back to Belair?
I think one of the women on this card loses their title, but it ain't this one. I honestly, I think you leave the belt on Becky. If Becky and Seth stay on SmackDown when the draft happens, I think that I'm just banking on I think Bianca and the Street Profits moved to Raw. Um, with the draft, I think it would kind of be the best shakeup, especially for Bianca because she's beaten everybody on SmackDown anyway. So I think the best move here is to move Bianca over there, let Bianca have whatever kind of weird supernatural shit they can put together with Alexa to get that belt because I'm pretty sure that that Lily's leaving Extreme Rules with a championship.
Oh man. Yeah, and this isn't even DDT either, where you'd expect some kind of inanimate object to hold a championship belt. I mean, technically not inanimate because she winks every now and then, so
Yeah.
we
Plus
got that.
they do that AVR stuff to and there's like a giant Lily. She could hold a belt.
Well, that answers your question about Charlotte Flair versus Alexa Bliss. Then on the next match on the card, it's gonna be a weird one, and I guess I'm gonna watch it. I don't know.
I'm kind of I think that between this new heat with Nia and Charlotte that they ended up in a shoot and then all the Ric Flair stuff when Ric Flair has to preemptively issue statements regarding Chris Kanyon before that episode airs. I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming there's some not so pleasant Ric Flair shit in it.
Well,
I think you kind of need to get Charlotte off TV for a bit, let all that cool down so that it doesn't take a toll on her.
yeah.
Obviously, it's not her fault; she doesn't deserve it. But I mean, she's got enough like TV projects and stuff going on, anyways. I think the best option right now, make use of this dark Alexa and Lily thing, and then find some way to get rid of it, like in the not too distant future. But I think you need to get Charlotte off TV for just a bit, let this die down, and then you can move on. I mean, between the rumored mass exodus of fans from Raw when this this segment took place, obviously it's already. I don't know if that's got more to do with people being pissed off that they basically fired Bray and gave his shtick to Alexa, or they were just walking out because of Flair. But yeah, I think
it's just as an angle. I don't even think it's as deep as that. Like there, it's just like I think people are just like, I'm bored. I'm gonna go get some popcorn or like soft pretzel, like like right now, use the restroom. Like I think it's just one of those things. How like the women's matches unfortunately used to be like the bathroom break match. I think that's what this is, just because this angle is not good.
Yeah,
I think that's all it is.
What's weird, I mean, they just did this exact same damn thing with Nia Jax, like the exact same thing. So it's weird that they like ended that and then did the exact same thing for another month. It didn't work the first time, so
yeah, I don't know. Damien Priest versus Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy. I think. Is this one for a title? It's for a title, right?
U.S. Championship.
U.S. Championship.
Somehow I missed Jeff Hardy getting added to this.
I think he was a really late addition, from what I understand.
I know they wrestled on Raw. I guess Sheamus jumping Jeff Hardy during the match. I guess that just gets him in the title picture. I don't remember. Does Jeff Hardy need this belt for the Grand Slam?
I think he already has one. Does he not have a Grand Slam?
He might. Either way, Damian Priest he's too out there right now. I mean, he presented a Latin Grammy to Bad Bunny, so I mean he's far too widespread to take that belt off him right now.
He's done really well. Like I remember him being like real rough, but like kind of finding something in Ring of Honor as Punishment Martinez. And he's just really he's done really well for himself in this past year. And that's a pretty good thing. And he's big and tall, like Vince McMahon likes. So
I think it really benefited him a lot too, how much work Bad Bunny put into that match.
Yeah.
had that match tanked, I think Damian Priest tanks too.
Yeah.
But it really he's made the best of everything. This feud with Sheamus has been great. I know you don't watch Raw terribly often, but they're I'm a hardcore Sheamus mark. I love that dude. He puts everything into every match, even when it means nothing. Um, so this feud's been great. I love that he had the belt for a bit, and I love that they're using somebody that is his as good as he is to, like you said, Damian Priest is still kind of green, and working with Sheamus is working some of the kinks out.
Yeah. The Usos versus the Street Profits. Usos are retaining. Do we even need to spend that much time on this one?
No, I kind of went over the rationale I've got earlier. That and they just sold a fuck ton of those Bloodline T-shirts.
Yeah.
So aside from like history with the Y2AJ, I don't imagine that they're going to go against the Bloodline right now.
Yeah, and they got a new Fatu coming up through the ranks in NXT that's just starting off, and he looks very much related to the Usos. Like he looks like he could be like their younger brother. So it's I'm sure they're gonna hotshot him to the main roster real quick to keep the bloodline going. Liv Morgan versus Carmella.
In the weirdest pay-per-view match I can recall in a long time.
I don't know. They've always seemed to be start-stop on Liv Morgan, but a little bit more consistent with Carmella. I'd like to see Liv Morgan win this, but I don't know. Liv Morgan was the one who was like teased to be in like love with Lana or something like that for like an episode of Raw, and then they dropped it.
And it did not go over real well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna say Naomi interrupts this match and beats the shit out of both of them, and she becomes part of the bloodline as part of this. This whole pay-per-view is going to be designed around Naomi being the newest member of the bloodline. This match will main event the show. No, I don't actually think that, but they've been sort of teasing some tension between Sonya Deville and Naomi. Naomi turns up in backstage segments, and Sonya won't put her on the show each week. So I think she just gets pissed off, wrecks both of these. I'd love to see Liv Morgan get a clean win here too, but I think it tells a better story if you have Naomi show up, wreck everybody, and then she is the newest member of the bloodline. Mostly because I think that'd be a boss-ass match. Becky Lynch versus the bloodline. So
yeah, that would be cool. And I need something different from Becky than what we're getting. I love Becky. I always love Becky, but her heel return is just not really doing much for me. So I'm hoping they kind of reset this after this Bianca Belair match and do something a little different, something new. So let's talk about NXT 2.0. This is the second episode, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I thought outside of we'll hit on the super cringe here in a minute, but outside of that, I thought it was another incredibly solid episode from start to finish.
There's definitely some things where they're just like, we're throwing some stuff at the wall, we're seeing what sticks. So I think a real good assessment where the show is going to be or will probably take place like 2 months from now.
Yeah,
when they kind of like find their footing. It is, I would say it is like not to be cliche about this because they're calling it 2.0, but it is a new show. And like how you watch some new shows, like some of those first, like the first season of The Office is a little weak. Parks and Rec also kind of weak. And that's what this is. That this is more like a new, a first season of a new show than a reset of the old. To me, that's what it feels like. It is a lot different.
I worry that not too far down the line, it could be, Scrubs moving to ABC, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah. So I think a real big standout is Braun Breaker. He brings a super chaotic energy, in the best way. Chaotic good, I guess, is what they put in that chart.
Yeah, he is everything they wanted from Mojo,
Yeah,
and didn't quite get the ring work. It little Steiner's got it in droves. He is between the he'll get a little better on the promos. He still seems a touch nervous, but between the energy and charisma and how damn good he already is in the ring, I mean that guy, the sky is the limit for this dude.
yeah. I almost wonder, like, there's people joking on Twitter saying like their Extreme Rules predictions as Braun Breaker wins the SmackDown Championship, because like they're thinking that like Vince just sees this guy, and despite him being a Steiner, when I know Vince has some kind of iffy history with the Steiners, but like I could just see him like hot shotting Braun
Yeah,
Breaker straight to the top, and that could also be why he has the name Braun Breaker, is because like Vince doesn't love the Steiner brothers, so kind of separating him from his parents. But I think it's also just a weird thing. Like he's just so obviously a Steiner. If you've watched any Scott or Rick Steiner promo, he's related to those guys.
oh yeah,
So it's pretty
you can
obvious.
see it. It's nuts. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's I find it incredibly weird that they didn't just, because I mean, yeah, Vince is taking a little more control of NXT, but at the same time, like, the guys running the show are still the guys running the show, and they have to understand the value of using the Steiner name. Um,
Yeah.
it and maybe this is just something that happened while H is in a hospital room recovering. I don't know, and he'll fix it when he gets back. But yeah, it's super weird that he's not just a Steiner.
Yeah.
I mean, call him Braun Steiner. I'm good with that.
Oh man. Poor Braun Strowman. It just
So
means he's not coming back with that name.
it's all right.
So
He's gonna he's going to Impact. It's all signs point to,
yeah.
and he's gonna wreck shit. And the inevitable clash with Moose is gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
second Moose reference. Yes.
We went a couple episodes with forgetting to mention him at all, and then now we're at least getting him in there twice. Well, what any other? Well, okay, you mentioned it, John Gacy.
Joe.
Oh, sorry, Joe Gacy. I was thinking of John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer.
Yeah, I had to correct you there because that's a different kind of cringe. Um, Truthfully, John Wayne Gacy wasn't quite as cringy. He was a different kind of fucked up. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, he was talking about safe spaces and all this, and try to give Trevor Lee, Cameron Grimes, formerly known as Trevor Lee, a hug after their match, and it's just like, I don't know, man. Like this is like supposedly WWE scrubbed any kind of like Twitter posts or any mentions because they got some bad press about Joe Gacy and his talk about safe spaces and all this. So I don't know. It's I'm not expecting him to show up next week. Really.
it was definitely not the best time for the company that swept Ric Flair's transgressions under the rug. Um, I mean, like the second thing out of his mouth was talking about his own white male privilege. And at that point, I
Yeah.
was just like, this is not going to go well. Um, I, I don't know what else to say. Like, literally, if you didn't watch it, go back and watch this. You've got to experience it to understand this level of cringe.
Go back and watch it before WWE completely scrubs it
Yeah, yeah. I
as
mean, because
well.
we can't like outright describe it to you. It's something you have to feel. And coming from a company that is notoriously tone deaf, this was a whole new level. Yeah, that I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where this is part of what I meant about like throwing everything against the wall. And like last week, it was the dude about talking about his family and waste management, and like they're definitely trying things, and sure, but like I don't know, there seems to be at least someone that needs to be like a gatekeeper of some sort and be like, okay, no, that's not the right direction. Let's try again. Let's do another pass on this idea before we try this. I mean, the one the first week, I forget his name, but it just sounded so boring. With the waste management stuff, it's just like I don't need a Tony Soprano wannabe in here. I mean, like QT Marshall's already trying to do that with his stupid bowling shirts on Dynamite. We don't need it on NXT as well.
And is the person that's coming up with this shit, do they just have an HBO Max subscription and that's all they watch all day? Is like Insecure and they're just geared up for Saints of New Jersey or whatever. Like
yeah.
That's it. This is where we pull characters from. I mean, they already got Commander Aziz, like straight ripped him off, including his fucking name from Coming to America too. Like, like full blown ripped that shit off. I don't understand why they're trying so hard. Like, if they want to go back to, you know, the 80s heyday, if that's where he wants to take it, remember who we cheered for at this point. There was like a prison warden. There was legitimately a clown. There was a mortician. Quit watching HBO Max for character ideas and just walk into a fucking Spirit Halloween store. Like, that's legitimately what you did for years. I don't understand why we're trying to like. I don't know. Why do we need Christopher Moltisanti, the pro wrestler? Like, and we don't need Captain Wokenness. That's never going to work. Like, throw somebody in a clown wig again. Let's see if a new doink gets over. This is not hard.
Also, the Captain Wokeness is, I think they're trying to go for a heel reaction, but in Florida, you might get a lot of unfortunate cheers in the wrong spots. So that's also a bad idea. Like maybe if this was traveling and if this is like, I don't know, we were in California doing this thing, we're at Staples Center or something, maybe you'd get the right reaction that you were looking for. But you're going to get some weird reactions in Florida. That's not going to go for the tone that you're looking.
I mean, if you were cutting that promo at Lilith Fair, it might work.
Oh man. Well, so we had Grand Slam this week, which was basically, it was basically a pay-per-view. And it started off with a pretty big bang with Kenny Omega versus the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. And that was really one of the quickest 30-minute matches I feel like I've seen. That was real hard hitting. The Snapdragon suplex onto the like plexiglass ramp didn't make me feel good to watch, especially knowing all Daniel Bryan's concussion issues. But overall, I knew it was going to go to a time limit draw because I was just like, there's no reason why they set this up with Cody and Darby all like at one of the first big shows with an actual time limit draw. Like they were saving it for something, and I think they made the right choice. This was a good ace to have up the sleeve to use for an ending of a match. But I'm excited to see it again.
Yeah.
What did you think?
It was a brilliant use of the ending. Technically, Daniel Bryan didn't lose in his debut. He doesn't have a win over the champion, so there's no hot shotting. I mean, and I don't even want to imagine the promos that Don Callis is going to cut about Daniel Bryan not being able to get the job done, because they're going to be brutal. But the match was a masterpiece. truthfully, it shocked the hell out of me that Meltzer only gave it 5 stars. Um, it was great from start to finish. I mean, even the early, back and forth when they weren't actually wrestling, just feeling each other out. I mean, that went on for 5 or 6 minutes and was just perfect. Um, just another match in the testament of just how good an in-ring storyteller both of these guys are, but Kenny Omega in particular. Um,
Yeah.
when he works heel during matches, I mean, they're hell. He's as good as I hold Kevin Owens and Charlotte both on like a pedestal of in-ring character work, and Kenny Omega is right up there in terms of what he pulls off during a match. It's something special to watch.
Yeah, and the whole episode of Dynamite as well, just it felt like it just kind of flew by.
Yeah.
And I, like I think Dynamite in general is pretty good. Like I don't really notice a lot of times what I notice more often than not is like, hey, we're going to commercial break. It seems like they go to way too many commercial breaks. If they could get some better sponsors so they can take less commercial breaks to maybe pay more or something.
Yeah.
Some kind of balance out, that would be amazing. But that's what I noticed most in Dynamite. But still, it was just like, oh, we're at the main event. We're Britt Baker. Oh man, who did she fight?
Ruby Soho.
Ruby Soho. Like that. That just came really quickly. Like it was a pretty solid night of action, and I think Rampage Grand Slam, I didn't feel quite the same way about it. Like I felt like the pacing wasn't as kind of breakneck and good. But I still enjoyed it. It was still cool to see the Super Click in action against. Oh, sorry.
I think the most noticeable thing on Dynamite was that they didn't waste a bunch of time on like really long promos.
Right.
MJF didn't talk forever. When Jericho cut his promo, it was like that backstage quick thing. And if you give Jericho a microphone, it feels like he will go on for 4 commercial breaks. And they just never pull him off stage at any point. There was basically none. I mean, quick shots just to get some promo out there for Rampage. But I think that was the major difference in the pacing here, as compared to like a typical Dynamite episode, was that you didn't have a ton of waste. CM Punk even cut himself kind of short. And that to me was the major difference. The show, it was, great match, quick promo for something going on Rampage, another good match, quick promo for something, and it's just boom, 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 as opposed to, like you turn on Raw, there's a 30-minute opening promo segment to set up whatever the main event is. So you got 50 minutes of the show dedicated to one damn thing. And it just makes everything feel that much longer. But this one, I'm with you. The pacing was great. The short promos are something that they need to keep in their back pocket and use more often. I know they've got the best talkers in the world. There's no doubt about it. But you gotta know when to use them. You can't have guys cutting the same promo forever on every episode. So I think that was the major difference here.
Man, during COVID and its big swing when we had Sting that came in, and like every week it was like Tony Schiavone interview Sting like every single week. Thankfully we've got kind of everything kind of back to normal, so we can kind of do other things than repeat the same thing. I mean, I know that's a common criticism against WWE, but AEW had to kind of go into that well too, just when there wasn't as much going on. And I don't know if
I like what they do. I've heard that, to send the crowd home at the end of the night, like they had CM Punk goes out and talks at that point. Like, I like the idea of that. People want to hear that promo from him, but at least that way you keep it special for the people that paid to be there, still get their CM Punk promo. and then
Yeah.
you don't eat up a lot of the TV time with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like the way they do everything generally. Um, they have had a tendency, and you're right. It was particularly during COVID, where it was just send the inner circle to the ring and have Jericho talk for what felt like ever. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. One thing I don't know if we've expressed, one thing I love about Rampage, I think I might have just texted you, is I love these Mark Henry like main event interviews. Like I know he's not being used on commentary at least the last couple weeks, and Ricky Starks had mentioned that it's going to be a rotating position, and he's one of those people that are going to be rotating in. But I get the feeling, I know like Mark Henry's great backstage and stuff, but like if this is all he's doing on air, I love it. I'm still great. I'm still great with it. I love the split screen interview. I love that he's, they're everyone's separated, and it makes sense too, because they're like, if they're right before their match, they're not going to be right together anyway. But I love it. I love his enthusiasm. That's all you need.
yeah.
One thing I've got though, the lights out match in the future. What I would like to do, and I was talking about this with a friend of mine, if it's a lights out match and it's unsanctioned by AEW, what they need to do is, at least even if they need to have special referee shirts where the AEW patch is like on the Velcro, but it's like when a US soldier gets captured behind enemy lines and they remove uh their American flag and stuff like that, the identification. Like if it's unsanctioned, like let's remove the AEW logo from your referee shirt. This is an unsanctioned match, or bring in a guest referee of some sort,
Yeah.
someone that's not connected, not employed by AEW to make this 3 count. Like that's what I feel like it should be. It's just like, you can use our ring, but that's about it. Like that's how it should be, I think.
Yeah, or I would just use that spot for these matches to just have another one of the talent get a couple minutes in the ring. I mean, just as the
Yeah,
referee, but send them out in their normal ring gear to work the
yeah,
match as the ref. I would be okay with that. But yeah, using your typical referee core for a no holds barred, like completely off the books for us match, it takes some of the disbelief out.
yeah. That's my only thing. I enjoyed the Moxley Kingston versus Suzuki and Lance Archer. I enjoyed that match. It's we got Homicide show up at the end. Kingston's longtime, basically best friend, more than Moxley, to save the day and to help them get the win. Kingston and Moxley. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, but it just in general, I think Dynamite was just paced a little bit better than Rampage, but it was still fun. It was a lot of big tag matches. We had Private Party, Butcher and Blade versus Lucha Bros, Santana Ortiz. Good fun match. And then we also had, I guess the thing that really just got me that I didn't love was the Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page versus Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, which just basically ended with with like all of Dan Lambert's MMA friends coming in to like beat up Chris Jericho. And apparently on Twitter, like people that like MMA was like thought it was cool, but I don't care. I think it just cheapens like wrestling to have like MMA people there, and like I don't know. That's all. That's all I gotta say. So
I've often wondered how much of an overlap there is in fan bases. Like
yeah,
I I don't come across a ton of wrestling fans that are like, "Oh, this is going on in MMA." Like it's a different world. That like I don't watch this for combat sports. I watch this for scripted drama and athleticism. Like if I wanted to just watch people beat the unholy shit out of each other, I would watch UFC. Like,
yeah, that's true.
or
And then
I would watch Jake Paul box. Um,
yeah,
I guess that would actually be like the sweet spot in the middle. You would think maybe that's why it
yeah,
sells so well.
yeah. Will Hobbs, and then we'll close by talking about Will Hobbs versus CM Punk. It was pretty solid. It's definitely one of those things where who got us started on this Moose Love? The one match we saw, Moose and
Saban.
Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin. Yeah, I feel like CM Punk's win so far. So CM Punk did win this match, and I kind of feel like it's kind of like that Sabin Moose match where CM Punk should lose, but just on pure power and reach and everything like that. But it's because he's such a veteran that he's able to, basically squeak out a win. And that's basically what this felt like too, that he really took advantage of like one mistake that Hobbs made and was able to squeak out a win, get that GTS. And after, Hobbs did reverse the GTS like twice, and he got him up for that third time when there was a little collision with Hook and stuff. So there Hook was kind of distracted some things, unfortunately, that didn't work out for Team Taz, and ended up with CM Punk be able to capitalize on that mistake and get out the win. Kind of felt it felt like that Moose Sabin match. It felt like that veteran just outwitting the new guy just slightly, just barely to win. Because otherwise, power for power, like Hobbs should have definitely won against CM Punk.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm excited to see more. I do, Punk was kind of teasing that, oh, you guys like really like it when I'm a heel and I'm against like authority and all this stuff like that. I think he's getting there, but I think he needs to like lose and be embarrassed in some kind of match to get to that heel thing and get that fire. I think we're still on the CM Punk, like, oh, I'm happy to be here, and then everyone's just happy to see him at the moment. But for him to have like longevity, I think he does need that fire of a loss, or some kind of long-term story to go against. And I mean, the Elite would definitely be one of those people to go after. So yeah. Any other things you're excited about coming up?
Oh, not that I can think of. I don't picture a whole lot of surprises on the Extreme Rules. So there's that. And then there's no WWE pay-per-view until November after this one, because we're gonna completely disregard the blood money matches.
Yeah.
So they can
do
whatever they want. We're just gonna watch Survivor Series.
I'm sure Bryan is not disappointed that he's missing that. I am going today to see Pro Wrestling Guerrillas Three Mendes 6 tonight, and I'm really excited. There's a tag team match: Black Taurus and Demonic Flamita versus Malachi Black and Brody King. I'm really excited to see that because I think that'd be really cool. And there's some other people that have showed. I guess Tony Deppen versus Evil Uno. There's not really a lot of AEW people on this card for once. That's how it's kind of been. But I'm excited to see one of the other Motor City Machine Guns back, Jonathan Gresham versus Alex Shelley. That's going to be pretty. I'm glad to hear that. So Alex Shelley had to step away during the pandemic. He did come back a little bit, but he is a physical therapist. That's his actual day job, and he couldn't, put himself in harm's way where he could potentially get COVID to work. So now that there's vaccines and all that, like he's back wrestling, which is pretty cool to see. Because didn't he teamed with our now former cruiserweight champion, right? The Time Splitter.
Yeah,
like maybe right before COVID and stuff. He did come back to do that and made a brief run in NXT, which was interesting. But yeah. Well, cool. Well, let's take it away for the ending here. Leave it to you.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell. I don't know, milk the cow. Whatever it is that you do in internet land, subscribe on all of your podcast platforms, including those of you in foreign lands. We do see you on our analytics. Thank you for listening. And that's it. We appreciate it. Send a third shout out. Moose, you're wonderful. Keep doing what you do. And enjoy Extreme Rules.
Yeah. See you next week.